All right, guys, welcome into today's video. I'm so excited for it. We are going to talk about MMTLP, and we're going to do a little history lesson back on old interviews, old conversations that was said between George, John Berta, other old clips of Ken Rice talking about MMTLP, and we're going to get my thoughts and opinions, which I am freaking bullish as ever on MMTLP. There's just no doubt about it. I've been covering it now for going on like freaking 2 years. Of course, I'm very bullish on it. So I did this the video last night. I told you guys for every like that you smashed in that video, I was gonna go buy a share of MMTLP, and we did that here today. So here we got the post on Twitter. I also put it on my YouTube community tab. On my video, when I took the screenshot, we had 249 likes. So thank you to everyone who went on and put a like on that video. And here you can see I put in an order of 255 shares, and I just wanted to round off my position at TradeStation, is why I rounded it up a few more shares. And there's the order received, and boom, there was a notification of order filled. So thank you again to everyone that has smashed the like button. I hope to do that every so often. We go in there and buy up these shares. I'm going to post them here for you on the video so you guys can see that we're buying it up, man. This has to be the most safest freaking stock to buy in this crashing bear market right now, because it's just been staying in this channel. And we, of course we don't know 100%, but I am pretty freaking confident that this preferred share spin out is going to be worth more than $1.51. I don't care if I'm buying $1.50. I know it has to be worth more than that. The oil assets alone have to be worth more than that. All right. So first, let's get into this first interview and take us back in time.
Went from negative to being, let's say, in a good momentum. Yeah. So the more time that goes by over the next 6 months, I can tell you that Torchlight management is speaking to the right potential buyers, that they're top tier. And frankly, nobody can predict if this is going to be a $1 or a $20 dividend. It's very difficult because buyers have their own different motivations, and they'll think about the price differently depending on where we are in the market. You have seen that in the United States, the new President Biden has done some additional restrictions in the oil and gas industry. Yeah. And that makes an asset, or the assets that Torchlight has, even more valuable.
So right there, guys, if you don't know, this is the old clip that George had the interview with the Italian investors. So this is going back to back about when Joe Biden became president. That's how old this interview is. So it's an old interview. It's when George kind of first talked about how excited he was about the Torchlight preferred shares. And you could hear there all about market conditions. And where's oil at now? Oil is at a great price, which is why we use that dividend chart.
So if you announce a dividend today, you're shooting yourself in the foot, as they say. I believe that the dividend will be very exciting for the Torchlight shareholders, and my hope is that they'll take it and do whatever they want with it, and maybe buy some additional MMAT stock on the future on the NASDAQ. That's my hope, and that's why we did not want to touch the dividend, because we on the Meta side could not even predict the price of oil 6 months ago, or where this Biden administration would create potentially additional reasons for the assets to be more valuable.
And for you,
the conclusion is that it's a preferred share for a reason. It's not priced. And in order for the shorts to deliver this, they have to own the stock. They cannot borrow the stock. They cannot short the stock. they have to own the stock to participate in the dividends, and so does any other normal investor.
All right, guys, so there you go. That was the old Italian interview back when roughly about Joe Biden became president a couple years ago. So that's the first interview there talking about it. Let's go to the next interview. This interview is an old interview with John Berta talking about the Oro Grande. This is really exciting because this will give you a little insight of what was the original plans of John Berta and Torchlight with the Oro Grande. Was they looking to sell the land? Was they looking to get the assets proven and then sell the land? Was they looking to produce and sell, oil out of it and become like a full running facility? Let's listen to this old interview and hear what John Berta's intentions was with Torchlight was.
All right, back here in Los Angeles at the LD Microcap Conference. Joining us is John Berta. He's the president and CEO of Torchlight Energy Resources. John, great to talk to you. How you doing?
Well, thank you, Steve. Thanks for having me this morning.
So tell us a little bit about Torchlight Energy.
Torchlight is a publicly traded NASDAQ company. We are an E&P company out of Plano, Texas. We have three primary fields that we operate in. Delaware Basin, Midland Basin, and then our big project, which is called the Oro Grande Basin. It's where most of our focus is right now. But we are a company in the exploration facet of the industry, whereby we go in and look for undervalued acreage positions, and we basically do the science and do the exploratory wells, and we look to exit from those positions to a larger company. And that's what we're doing.
Right.
So exploration there, guys. They like to go find undervalued assets, explore it, do the science on it, basically prove the assets, prove the oil that's there, prove the gas that's there, and then exit to a larger company. This next part is really exciting here as well.
In reading a bit about the company, I've noticed that you've started drilling the Oro Grande project. So tell us a little bit more about that. Seems to be your flagship.
That is certainly our flagship project for sure. We, in the past, have drilled a total of 3 exploratory wells to date. And our last one was a horizontal producer, a 1,000-foot lateral in the Pennsylvania formation. And we announced about 30 days ago that we are actually actively involved in drilling 3 wells right now in the Oro Grande, looking for 15 different pay zones to further prove up that acreage, again, with the mindset that we're going to sell that acreage to a larger company at some time in the future.
Right.
Sell that acreage to a larger company in the future. What is currently Metamaterials helping MMTLP/Nextbridge doing right now? They are getting those pay zones, as he said there, this was years ago, how they want to get those 15 pay zones in there, and they want to develop the land, get proven assets, and get top dollar for this land. And all right, guys, continuing on this trip down memory lane, we are here at the Q4 Metamaterials highlights here for the earnings 2021. So let's hear what Mr. Ken Rice had to say at the end of this call.
Going forward, we ended the year, as I said, with $50 million in cash, and we have $110 million capacity left on our ATM facility. You'll see on the balance sheet that there are 2 lines that kind of jump off the page, and they're both $75.5 million. When we did the transaction with Torch, we wanted the transaction to be 75-25 in our favor. Well, the relative market caps of the 2 companies said that it probably should be 50-50. And so when the deal was negotiated, we negotiated for the 75-25 split, with one caveat, and the caveat is that the oil and gas assets that were still on the books of Torchlight last year, or 2020 actually, would remain with their shareholders. And so whatever net proceeds came from selling those assets or spinning them out, they would go to the legacy shareholders of Torchlight. So the $75.5 million that you see in assets held for sale are those assets. With that, I will stop, and I think I have 1 minute extra.
Soon. There are 2 questions. And one, do you have a dividend coming?
There is a dividend owed to the Series A preferred stockholders that I mentioned, and that will be distributed later this year.
Okay. And that is all the time we have. Ken, thank you.
That will be distributed later this year. That will be distributed later this year. That will be distributed later this year.
I don't know if we heard that, but that will be distributed later this year, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. That's what Ken said. His own words of mouth right there. As you can see, Sterling was still covering that. Got that clip from Sterling's page. So thank you, Sterling, for having those great clips up there. All the YouTubers that cover this, man, we get this footage. We try to keep it together to refresh people that's new into maybe being interested in this stock. Keeping you up to date with what happened in the past, present, and looking into the future. All right. We got one last piece to go over, and that's Mr. George himself talking about it. So let's go to that. Guys, and if you've seen, we've been changing the TV back there, and this is the Win S1 is going to be technically Win SEC S1A amended approval. When is it? All right, so let's listen to this last clip here, and we're going to talk on this one. This one's really exciting.
Okay, thanks for your answers.
Hey.
Thank you, Chris. Do we have any follow-ups from Mac or Jerry? Hearing no follow-ups.
Maybe just one thing, Rob. I know that there was no question about the assets, so I just wanted to make just a little note here. We put the first slide in the agenda was the asset updates and the S1. I just wanted to say that we stand by ready to maintain these assets according to our agreement with the University Lands. We're eager to make sure that these assets, produce and further develop, and basically enabling the assets to be sold at the highest price possible. Timing is fantastic for these right now, as we're in a kind of this super cycle for oil and natural gas in particular. I think the team has extensive experience drilling long laterals and optimizing for production from those laterals. And I think that's where you'll see more information and updates as we go through this S1 process. Thank you.
Thank you, George. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. If you have questions.
Okay, so there it was. That's where this gentleman here was conducting the MetaMaterials presentation. And usually every time they do a presentation for MetaMaterials, there's always a question about the dividend. And this time there was not a question about the dividend, and George pitched in to talk about the dividend. So I wanted to take you all down a trip down memory lane. Like I said, these interviews are those first ones are really old. The John Berta one, the first interview with George we heard, you see the Ken Rice clip was from last year, so about 9 months ago, roughly 8-9 months ago. And then that George clip, I think, was here recently in the last few months. I believe that's when, I forget the exact date when that happened this year, but it was just a few months ago. And hearing that timeline of stuff, hearing what George initially said back before it became what it is now, hearing what John Berta said, they want to explore it, they want to sell it off to someone bigger. That's exactly what Nextbridge does. They get stuff done and sell it and take a profit and move on. So I'm going to be curious to see how this all plays out. Of course, I don't know, man. I'm just freaking excited. Yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this little timeline video. It took a while to get all this put together. And all I ask in return is for you guys just to give me a thumbs up for that hard work. And like I said, appreciate everyone smashing thumbs up yesterday. Went out there and bought some shares of Super Bullish on this. And we're going to come back and just wait for the SEC approval and go from there. If this dips in any significant way, I will be buying more shares. I'm telling you, I'll be buying more. I got money ready. Drop it down lower. I'm ready to buy. Raise it up. I'll hold what I got. It's okay. All right, guys. Catch y'all next video. Peace.